Charlie's wasn't random. It was scheduled.
He set it up in a way that, like, okay, you're saying something that's actually factually inaccurate,
right,
according to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird shit going on with this.
I know.
Really.
I almost texted you when the Charlie Kirk thing happened because my antennas went up about, they showed the photo of that kid, or the guy that they have, the 22-year-old,
yeah,
whatever. And I was almost going to be like, dude.
This kid had a rifle with a scope. Now, here's where it gets weird. The first images of this rifle with a scope, I swear to God, it looks like he has a composite stock on it. Like, it looks like a modern 30-06 rifle. There was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombings.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place. And then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets shot, he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child porn right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child porn. Why is that? Well, now you can't.
Elon Musk and Joe Rogan just dropped something so wild that the entire internet lit up like fireworks. Of all people to dive into the topic, no one expected Charlie Kirk's widow to suddenly become part of the conversation. And the way they handled it, absolutely mind-bending. It started when Rogan, during one of his latest podcast episodes, revealed that he had been quietly following Charlie's mysterious case for quite some time. He said there were just too many odd details, too many contradictions that didn't sit right with him. Then came Elon Musk, who was accidentally tagged in a clip from that very podcast, and his reply made everyone's jaw drop. He simply posted, "The truth cannot be hidden forever." That one sentence was all it took for the internet to blow up in a matter of hours. Millions of people watched the video over and over again, focusing on every look, pause, and subtle expression between two of the most powerful men in tech and media. Why would they even bring up a case that most people believed was long settled? Some believed it was just a coincidence, but others were certain it was a covert signal, a subtle way of saying something deeper without actually saying it. Whether on purpose or not, that brief exchange between Rogan and Musk was enough to turn a national obsession. Once the video went viral, the same question, is the real story just getting started? Within hours, Rogan's words were flooding TikTok, Reddit, YouTube Shorts, and X. Viewers analyzed every second of that clip like detectives, looking for hidden meaning. Did Rogan know something that the rest of the world didn't? And just when things couldn't get any crazier, whenever the authorities say something and don't probe any further, we can't allow that to happen here. I won't allow that to happen because something horrible has traumatized the world. The internet became a massive detective board overnight as a result of Elon's classic silent move, which involved questioning the official narrative surrounding Charlie's case with a few quiet likes on Candace Owens' comments. People were convinced that something significant was brewing, and hashtags related to Charlie's widow, Candace, Rogan, and Musk began to blow up worldwide, trending in every country on every platform. People were convinced that these two powerful men, Elon and Joe, knew something that the rest of the world wasn't supposed to know. Depending on your perspective, their silence only made things worse or better. The mystery only deepened with each cryptic response, and soon wild theories began to emerge like mushrooms after a storm. Some claimed Elon and Rogan were hinting at a cover-up, while others said they were merely testing the media, playing a psychological game to see how quickly the crowd would spiral into chaos. Whatever it was, the timing was too perfect to be random. It felt deliberate, like a trigger waiting to be pulled. A few days later, Candace Owens added gasoline to the fire by posting. Some claimed Candace had proof of a secret deal among powerful insiders, while others thought Elon and Rogan were deliberately stirring things up in the hopes that the public would discover the truth on its own. Even mainstream media, the same outlets that usually pretend not to notice this stuff, started talking about it without really talking about it, with headlines like "The internet is going wild over Musk and Rogan's exchange." But why? That only made people more interested. The denials didn't help either. Every attempt to minimize the drama only made people more suspicious. Within hours, videos were slowed down, old quotes reappeared, and fans were connecting the dots like they were deciphering a national secret. Even Musk's briefest tweet was treated like hidden code, and a single glance from Rogan turned into a message on its own. Every frame was examined for hints. Viewers zoomed in, slowed down, and compared timestamps like digital detectives. Eventually, one question dominated the internet. This time, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, and Charlie Kirk's widow had unintentionally set off a chain reaction that no one could stop. Their combination of mystery, silence, and cryptic hints left the entire world enmeshed in a spiral of questions, theories, and restless speculation. But the creepiest part wasn't what they said, but rather what they didn't say. Sometimes silence, especially at the right moment, can shake the internet harder than 1,000 words, which is precisely why people are still glued to every post, clip, and subtle glance, looking for clues that the truth might finally be revealed. When Joe Rogan's full podcast episode finally surfaced, fans realized that what they had seen in the viral clip was only the surface. The real content is much deeper and much more unsettling. Rogan didn't just casually name-drop Charlie Kirk. Instead, he questioned everything. His tone was calm but calculated, like a man walking on a tightrope. "There are too many things that don't line up," he said before delving into a list of inconsistencies that sounded like scenes from an investigative thrill. The internet went crazy when he said, "I almost texted someone when it happened," which sent shivers down everyone's spine. If this were a movie, no one would believe it. His tone wasn't angry. Rather, it was sharp, controlled, and eerily thoughtful. You could feel it. Rogan knew he was poking at something sensitive, something bigger than himself. Millions of people paused, rewound, and slowed down the video in an attempt to identify that person. Was it Elon, Candace, or someone closely connected to the enigmatic scenario itself? That one sentence turned into the new obsession. The guessing game devolved into full-fledged chaos, with viewers dissecting every second of Rogan's podcast like a crime scene, analyzing every moment when his eyes moved, when his tone softened, and when a pause felt a little too long. Suddenly, the online community began claiming that Rogan was no longer just a host, but had somehow become part of the mystery itself. Some media analysts even claimed he was using what they called the pretending effect, not revealing anything directly, and deep dive expats began mapping out connections between Rogan, Musk, Candace Owens, and Charlie Kirk's widow. Tweets and quotes from podcasts, weaving them into what appeared to be the blueprint of a hidden story. Before long, public opinion started to change quickly, and Rogan was no longer seen as a curious observer, but rather as a symbol of defiance, a man hinting at truths that others were too afraid to say out loud. The big question kept coming up. Was he unintentionally pulling back the curtain on something strange, or was he purposefully dropping breadcrumbs for the world to follow? As usual, silence is more powerful than words when Rogan enters forbidden territory. When people thought it couldn't get any wilder, Elon Musk made his move in typical Elon fashion. He didn't rant, didn't post a video, didn't even tag anyone, just a few brief tweets, no emojis, no hashtags, and no explanation, but the world went into overdrive. First, he responded to a random user who asked about the contentious podcast clip by saying, "Not everything is what you think." That's all. No context, no follow-up. Yet that was sufficient to put the internet into a tailspin. The tweet had over 1 million views in a matter of minutes, and people were deciphering it as if it were a secret code. A few hours later, Elon made another mysterious tweet. Silence can sometimes speak louder than words. The timeline was shivered by just one line. All of a sudden, everyone was persuaded. The silence was no longer perplexing. It was dialogue. No locations, names, or explicit allusions. However, I want to be very clear that I think, in fact, I know, that Charlie was battling for custody of himself in the final stages. I would like to express that. I'd like to put it plainly. Additionally, there are lies being spread, and they must be stopped immediately. Instantly, everyone on the internet understood exactly what Elon Musk was implying. As commentators began making connections more quickly than before, the internet erupted like wildfire. Elon's mysterious tweets coincided nearly exactly with Joe Rogan's podcast mention about Charlie Kirk's widow. The speculations erupted at that point. Some thought Elon was quietly implying that he understood more than the general public could ever comprehend. Others were certain it was one of his well-known social experiments to see how quickly knowledge might flow and change in real time. But the timing was too ideal to ignore, whether it was intentional or accidental. All of a sudden, it appeared as though two of the world's most powerful voices were exchanging coded signals, and everyone on the internet was attempting to decipher the language. In a matter of hours, Reddit was flooded with enormous timelines that precisely matched the times Rogan talked to Elon's second-by-second tweet. Thousands of videos appeared on TikTok attempting to interpret the now famous statement, "Silence speaks volumes." Everyone had their own theories, ranging from personal secrets to covert government agreements, and some even connected it to Elon's earlier talks about truth being stranger than fiction. However, Candace Owens vanished into the pandemonium like a thunderstorm before everybody could agree upon a single answer. She didn't tiptoe in, as is characteristic of Candace. She produced. It's dramatic. She appeared composed as she went live, but the first line of her video gave her fans the chills. "Everything is going exactly as I described." That was all. There were no specifics, no evidence, just tension that was palpable through the television. Her name began trending everywhere once more in a matter of minutes. The chain reaction was finished. It was started by Rogan. Candace ignited it after Elon pushed it farther. Millions of people were generating theories more quickly than they could update their feeds. 3 names, 3 voices. People developed an obsession with discovering the secret link that bound them all together, persuaded that a more significant narrative was concealed behind the scenes that a powerful person didn't want made public, and depending on who you ask, Candace made them worse or better. One of her posts caused a complete social media breakdown. People finally get what I've been saying for months. Just that, no tags, hashtags, or context. Platforms exploded once more in a matter of minutes. Her earlier videos in which she questioned the anomalies in the Charlie Kirk case were resurfaced by fans. She had previously noticed the peculiar gaps in the official accounts, the weird timing, and the unexpected appearances. The world was unable to look away from the chaos that was shrouded in mystery. There is no way that this could be a coincidence.
Not.
Following all of the previous events. A few hours later, Candace Owens spent more than an hour appearing live on television. Her tone is heavy, even purposeful, but her look is serene. She seemed to be walking a tightrope between danger and truth with every word she said. She then said something that caused everyone in the audience to stop breathing in the middle of the stream. Charlie wrote private notes about his wife, but the media never dares to bring them up. The internet instantly caught fire. Candace remained unfazed despite hundreds of thousands of people flooding her live stream conversation with requests for screenshots, proof, and remarks like, "Show us." She just grinned and leaned forward, whispering, "Patience. The truth always finds its way." Then she abruptly stopped the stream. No follow-up, no justification, nothing. Social media went crazy after that. Candace was allegedly sitting on screenshots, handwritten notes, and possibly even entire pages from Charlie's private journal, items that the public had never seen. What she was holding was a mystery to everyone. One thing, nevertheless, was universally acknowledged. Something big was going to happen if Candace talked once more. She brought up the diary just when nobody thought it could get any more bizarre. Charlie Kirk wrote some private letters a few days before he died, according to Candace. She said that one of them concentrated, completely focused on his wife, and the things he wrote were incredible. She just said this without reading the note aloud. Everything is altered by it. Everywhere on the internet was rocked by those 3 words. Candace was adamant that the public's perception of the entire scenario will shift if the memo was made public. Most people thought she was holding onto a crucial piece of evidence, possibly even the missing puzzle piece everyone had been looking for, while some detractors accused her of inciting drama to garner attention. With titles like "Candace Owens claims to have Charlie Kirk's personal notes," news outlets and podcasts grabbed on it right away. The clip became viral in a matter of hours. Candace's secret, as usual, was the main topic of discussion. It was impossible to determine if she was revealing the truth or simply challenging the media to follow her story. However, it wasn't until later when the internet actually froze. Candace disclosed that Charlie wrote about feeling alone, suspicious, and even as though someone close to him was concealing something in his private writings. He was apprehensive, felt monitored, and didn't know who was truly on his side. The line that struck everyone like a bolt of lightning then appeared. "I'm not sure who I can trust anymore." Even though Candace only shared a clipped, blurry portion of the handwriting rather than the entire page, it was still enough to make many shudder. The fuzzy image spread within hours, everywhere, igniting countless arguments, analyses, and hypotheses. It was obvious that the story was far from over because one little message had become a worldwide mystery. Every platform, including Reddit, TikTok, and X, previously Twitter, was overrun with discussions, theories, and self-described investigators who claimed to have solved the case. One eerie query was the talk of the internet. Was Charlie attempting to convey a secret message? A warning that, while he was still here, no one noticed in time? His widow was the center of attention, of course. Was she the subject of the message? Or did it allude to something much more significant? Something that nobody dared to discuss aloud. That ambiguity turned into the ideal storm, the spark that ignited an impending online firestorm. The world of the internet was completely divided. There were others who thought Candace Owens was revealing something significant, a true cover-up that would never be touched by the mainstream media. She said the things that everyone else was too scared to utter, and they perceived her as courageous. However, the opposing side retaliated equally forcefully, denouncing her as manipulative and charging her with fabricating facts to create disruption and attract attention. She was allegedly using Charlie's name to promote herself, according to some detractors. However, everyone was talking about her regardless of their stance, and even more, they were all fixated on Charlie's mysterious notes. The internet went completely insane in a matter of hours. Algorithms were unable to keep up with the rapid growth of clips, posts, and threads. It was chaos, with headlines like "The Hidden Truth," "Charlie Kirk's Last Message," and "Who Couldn't He Trust?" dominating timelines in less than a day. Gorgeous, disorganized, digital mayhem. Overnight, hundreds of thousands of comments were added to Reddit threads, which swelled at an unprecedented rate. Every hazy screenshot had people zooming in, comparing pen strokes, and debating the possible meanings of each phrase. According to some amateur analysts, Charlie's handwriting had changed, slanting slightly to the left, indicating signals of deep mistrust, tension, and anxiety. Others claimed that the note had tiny repeating symbols that resembled coded signals intended for someone close to him, or concealed initials nestled between words. The theories grew increasingly bizarre every minute. In an attempt to demonstrate that the note was actually written by Charlie, a new generation of digital detectives joined in on TikTok, producing thousands of films using software overlays and handwriting recognition programs. Fans were taken to even greater depths by the new discoveries, secret clues, and plot twists that were revealed every hour. The mystery had taken over the internet entirely, and it didn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. Online analysts developed handwriting comparison programs, asserting that Candace's note has indications of minor adjustments that altered the tone without completely changing the message. The audience only saw the lines that supported a particular plot line, according to others who claimed there were several copies circulating, each edited differently. In the meantime, independent critics on podcasts and YouTube chimed in with scathing opinions about the impact of withholding information. How a cautious person like Charlie might intentionally use ambiguous language to provoke thought without naming names. He penned those sentences as a mental tap on the shoulder that wasn't intended to be missed, according to some, while others dismissed it as a coincidence. The spiral grew deeper the more people examined it. Doubt followed doubt until the mystery seemed unsolvable. Nobody could genuinely confirm the note's provenance in a clear, official manner. However, the fog itself kept the plot alive, so nothing was slowed down. Charlie Kirk's final remarks had become more than just a rumor by this point. It was culture, an entire ecosystem of theories that were constantly feeding one another. Everyone had their own interpretation of reality, and no one was willing to give up their angle, at least an algorithmic one, without a fight. Candace responded coolly when reporters contacted her for confirmation. "We'll see in time." People were even more intrigued by that one line, as if she had purposefully put a key back in her pocket. Now, Charlie's writing wasn't the only thing in the chase. It was about why Candace decided to display it at this particular moment, which added a sense of strangeness and weight to the entire story. Missing words, purposeful silence, hidden meanings. Timelines could still be shaken by all of it, and the conversation could continue unabated. TikTok carried out its usual actions. Zoom, slow, improve, then repeat. Every clip from Candace's live was examined by the makers as they attempted to decipher blurry lines on a sheet purporting to be from Charlie's diary. After everything happened so quickly that it prompted fresh issues on its own, some claimed to have seen phrases like plan or timing, and then conjectured that the note questioned how quickly the widow entered his area. However, it was just half of the discussion, as others claimed the language hinted at something more significant than the intimate. Perhaps a quiet or political angle. Charlie once hinted about a project that never got off the ground. The timing, the stillness, and the edits continue to draw people back, regardless of the reality. Because sometimes the gaps are more noticeable than the actual words. Completely crazy. In the meantime, Joe Rogan's devoted fanbase was certain that everything Candace Owens said matched exactly what Rogan had alluded to in his podcast. They understood the message. The official account of what happened was not entirely accurate. However, Elon Musk returned to the fray just as the excitement appeared to be waning. At that point, everything was entirely out of control. He simply liked a few postings that said, "Charlie," without launching a thread or going on a tirade. Realized something he was unable to express. That one action, a silent button press, was enough to ignite the internet once more. In a matter of minutes, speculation, screenshots, and speculations regarding the true meaning of Elon's likes were flooding every platform. The discussion was no longer even about believing at this point. It had evolved into a combination of amusement, fascination, and research. Everyone wanted a piece of it, from little podcast hosts and inquisitive TikTok users to big YouTubers and political pundits. Everyone asserted that they had their own version of events, transforming the whole thing into a growing virtual world of conjecture and mystery. Then, as it appeared to, when things couldn't get any more crazy, Candace did it once more. The entire chat halted when a viewer asked, "Do you think Charlie's widow knows more than she's admitting?" during what appeared to be a casual Q&A live session. Comments ceased to scroll. For a few long, nerve-wracking seconds, Candace simply sat there in silence. Then she leaned in, grinned a little, and said, "Let's just say he wrote about trust for a reason." And right after that, she ended the stream. There was no explanation, no follow-up, just a quiet wave. And the screen went black. The silence was deafening and instantly iconic. In a matter of minutes, that 5-second clip was everywhere. Millions of replays, thousands of slow-motion analyses, endless debates. Some viewers claimed she was outright confirming the rumors, while others said she was playing the audience like a master, dropping hints to keep the attention flowing. All worked flawlessly. By the following morning, social media was in complete disarray, with new hashtags flooding timelines. $, Dare Charlie's Journal, $, What did she know? And $, Trust Notes. Twitter, or X, became a battlefield of interpretations, each more dramatic than the last. And just when you thought Elon liked another post, this time it was a meme. It was straightforward but terrifying. The truth always leaves crumbs. That one move sent shockwaves through the entire internet community once more. Some said Elon was talking about Candace. He knows. Others shot back, saying it was all just a publicity stunt. Between those two camps, believers and skeptics, something new started to form. A shared obsession, not just about Charlie, Candace, or Elon, but about the mystery itself. The kind of mystery that keeps millions of people up at night, searching for hints that might not even exist. Joe Rogan remained completely silent. The more he remained silent, the more people began to whisper. Perhaps Rogan, Musk, and Candace were working together like a covert media triangle conducting a live experiment on the entire internet. Videos of Candace saying her terrifying line about trust went viral on TikTok. Some zoomed in on her eyes, believing they saw the look of someone who knew more than she's saying. Others said she was reading from a script, that the whole thing was a masterfully planned setup to create one of the big. The internet is currently stuck in a holding pattern, waiting for Candace to release the entire diary, for Elon to post another cryptic clue, and for Rogan to finally break the silence. But the longer everyone waits, the deeper they fall into this never-ending spiral of theories, suspicions, and blurred realities. The distinction between truth, doubt, and pure belief has completely vanished. In a world where a single tweet can start a movement, silence has become the most powerful weapon of all. The story of Candace Owens, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and the Charlie Kirk diaries reveals one indisputable truth about today's digital world. Truth itself is determined by speed rather than proof. The first version people see becomes the one they believe. A small comment, a quick like, or a quiet glance in a live stream can start a storm that circles the globe in minutes. And the wildest part is that no one even needs to hide the truth anymore. Confusion alone can make the truth disappear in a world full of conflicting opinions. Age where chaos spreads faster than facts. Silence isn't surrender. It's a strategy. And not everything that goes viral is real. But not everything real gets the chance to go viral. If you want to keep uncovering the hidden stories, behind-the-scenes secrets, and quiet power moves shaking the internet, subscribe to Flow Fame. Don't just scroll through the noise, decode it. Like, comment, share, and stay tuned because the next story might just change everything. See you on the next.